Hi everybody, my name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. So today I want to talk about nature, the power of nature. So nature we are nature and we are connected to nature. Our souls are connected to nature. So when we disconnect from nature, we actually disconnect from our souls. And we don't understand this. Like we have medicine right at our fingertips. Nature and meditation are the two biggest forms of meditation or medicine that we have free at our fingertips. And we don't even know it. Like being in nature replenishes your soul. It is great for your mind, your body, and your spirit. It can help you heal. It can help to ground you. It can help to relieve stress, anxiety, and fear and anger. And when we disconnect from it, we become disconnected from spirit, disconnected from ourselves, from our true being. We need to understand how powerful nature is, because it really is. Being in nature is it's like ecstasy. It's just this sense of peace and calm. Like there's certain places I can go in nature and it's like my mind stops. It just stops. It stops thinking. There's no worry, there's no stress, and there's just complete and utter peace. Being like listening to the birds, listening to the wind in the trees, listening to the waterfall or the sound of a river flowing by. It's the most beautiful. It's otherworldly what it does for you and your body and your mind. And we need to remember this. And it took me a long time to understand this, how alive plants are. And I went to an arboretum back in 2019, and like I've been to forests before and I've seen old trees, but in this arboretum there was the oldest trees I've ever seen. They were massive, they were huge, humongous, man. They were huge. But it was like for the first time in my life I actually connected with plants, with trees. And I could feel their energy. I could feel the energy off these plants, off these trees. And it was like they were talking to me. Now, as I said, these were the biggest trees I've ever seen. They were like giants. But some of them were actually in the shape of humans. And it was crazy because I was just like, I got these visions of like, back in the day, there was this war of giants and these giants were frozen in this spot and they all were frozen into these trees. And I know that's a bit far-fetched, but that's the way I felt. I felt that these trees had life. These trees had stories. And I even said to myself, geez, I'd love to take like plant medicine or something someday, and actually go and speak to trees, and see if I can connect through them, through the hallucinations and stuff. I'd love to do that someday. Because I really did. I felt that like the trees were speaking to me. They were telling me stories. So ever since then, I've had a deeper connection to plants and nature. And I live in nature. I live in the countryside. But I never appreciated it till then. I grew up on a farm and I grew up in nature. And I always did love nature and I always loved living in the countryside. But I never connected to trees like I did that day. So ever since I'm more connected to Mother Earth and Mother Gaia, tree hugging, it's a real thing. If you hug a tree, it actually gives you energy. It gives you upliftment, like. And like, I go out, I have a couple of trees in my yard, like they're not big ones, but I go out and I just grab the trees and I'll just hold the bark of the tree for a few minutes and I'll just close my eyes and I'll just feel. And if I'm having a bad day or anything, this actually helps me. And I disconnected from nature a couple of years ago. And like, the reason being, I had a fear-based entity attached to me because I was hanging around toxic people. And this fear all consumed me. I was afraid to leave my house. What I mean by that is I live in the countryside and I was afraid to stand outside my front door. I would let the dogs out and I'd quickly close the door. This is how consumed by fear I was, how disconnected from myself I was. I wasn't opening the windows that year. I closed the windows. I was hiding myself away from everything in the world and even in nature. And I was avoiding going for walks in the forest. I just completely disconnected from nature and my soul. And I didn't even know the two were connected until like a practitioner, a shamanic practitioner said to me, so when I was telling him the story about the fear-based entity, he's like, oh, so you disconnected from spirit? And I was like, no, I was telling you. And then I was like, hold on now a second, he's right. I thought I was just in this bubble, but I actually had disconnected from nature, my soul, from divine, from spirit, from the world, from everything. I was afraid to even stand on my porch. I was just petrified. Even in the summer, I locked myself into the house because I had this anxiety, this fear that was attached to me because I was still letting toxic people into my life. And I even that summer, I was as pasty and white as anything because I wouldn't even go out for 5 minutes because I was afraid people were looking at me. I have very few neighbours, and my neighbours are, they're across the road and across the lane. They're not actually beside me, and I'm surrounded by these trees, so no one can actually see me, like. And I'd lived here for, say, 5 years before that year, and I was always going outside. I didn't care. I was everything. I just didn't care because I knew there was no one looking at me. But because of this fear-based entity, I was afraid to even go outside my front door. This really closed me off. Like, this really disconnected me from who I was. And I even avoided going for walks, as I said. Like, I pass a forest once a week when I go into town. And I was avoiding. My ego mind. The ego mind, Jesus, it bugs me now, so it does. Every time I drive past it, I'd make an excuse. I'd be like, no, not today, I'm busy, or no, not today, I have to get back to the dogs, or no, not today, there's frozen food in the car. This kind of thing. And every time I would make an excuse not to go to the forest, and I'm like, what are you doing? And now I've realised that the ego mind is stopping us from connecting with our true nature, with nature in general. But it does. Like, if I decide, like, when I was going through this relapse, we'll call it, if I wanted to pull a few tarot cards or do a Kundalini session or Kundalini yoga session or breathwork session, I get excited. Straight away, I get excited because I knew it would be good for me. I knew it would make me happy. And then, bang, my ego will come in and go, nah, not today. Just sit on the couch there and relax. You don't want to do that today. And I'd listen to that ego mind. Your ego mind tries to stop you from doing something that's good for you. So if your ego says to you, oh, you don't want to go out in nature today, it's too cold, put on a fucking jacket. Don't listen to that mind. If your ego says, don't do that meditation, don't listen to that. If something is actually good for your soul, listen to that. This is medicine for your soul. Now I've reconnected with nature again, and back then I only had one plant in my house. Now I have 9 plants in my house. You can bring nature inside. If you can't go out in the winter, bring nature in. I have 9 plants in my house now, and I have 3 vases of flowers. I buy flowers every week, just to bring nature into my house. I will now, whether it's raining or not, I'll go out and walk outside with my dogs when they go out. Every time, rain, hail or shine, I will go out and wander around with them just to get a bit in. I live in nature, and I was avoiding this because I had disconnected from me. Disconnecting from nature, you disconnect from your soul. If you can't be in nature, watch some documentaries about nature or about animals. Look out your window even. Look at a picture of a tree. Like, that's it. Like, nature can be found in the most beautiful things. And I went outside one day and I was sitting there, and you sit there, just sit there. Sit there and look at the bird. I go out and feed the birds, right, in the mornings. And one little robin especially, he'll come down and he'll have a little chat with me. And I'll start talking to him in the morning when I'm putting out the oats, and he'll just start eating away, or he'll start looking at me and talk back, this kind of thing. Sit there and listen. And I was sitting there one day and I picked up a bit of moss, and there was little water particles in this moss, and it was beautiful. And I even took a picture of it. And I was just like, there's beauty found in the most simplest things. And people are afraid to go out in nature. It's like, oh, there's germs. Don't touch that. There's germs. There's more germs on your phone and your toothbrush than there is out in the field. If you grew up on a farm, or if you grew up in the countryside, you will not have allergies because you build up a stronger immune system. I've only noticed that people living in cities are the ones with allergies and who get sick more easily. When you're living surrounded by, I'll say, toxic energy, because if you're living in a busy city or if you're living in busy towns, there's a lot of low vibrational energy there, a lot of condensed heavy energy, and you're taking that on, and that disconnects you from your soul. Like, people don't leave the house, they're staring at their phones all the time, and don't get me wrong, as I said, when I had that relapse and I was around toxic energy, I went through a year of that. And my God, I'll never go back to that. And that's made me appreciate nature even more. I'm never going to go back to that claustrophobia, because that's what I was suffocating. I was suffocating myself in my home because I had a fear-based entity attached to me, and it wasn't allowing me to heal. And my body, my mental, physical, and emotional well-being was gone to shit because of it. And like, that's the thing. Nature is healing, and like, it's not just being in nature, but plants are healing for, you know, medicine. Even herbal tea. I find, like, I drink herbal tea like it's gone out of fashion now, and it's really good. I don't take any kind of medication anymore. I used to take anxiety and depression medication back in my 20s. I used to have a box of paracetamol in my bag just in case. And one of my exes, the only true thing he ever said was that I only took painkillers when we had them. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, if we don't have painkillers, you don't seem to need them. And that's the thing. I used to get migraines all the time, but I'd pass through them, or a lot of the time headaches anyway are to do with dehydration, which I discovered as well. But I used to have paracetamol because I was a hypochondriac. I didn't go out in nature because I stayed inside all the time, drinking alcohol or staring at the television. That was me. And then when I had the relapse a couple of years ago, actually it was up until March last year that I finally broke away from the toxic energy and started to find myself and find my soul again. But like, that's the thing, like, I was so disconnected from it all. And I've been that conditioned person. And I let the ego mind win all the time. And it's only this last year, because I relapsed so badly from being around such low vibrational energy. Because I've been on my spiritual journey since early 2018. And I call it a relapse. A lot of stuff happened and I went down. And then I ended up allowing toxic energy into my life, and then it sucked the life out of me. It was like energy vampire stuff. I lost my will to live, really. I lost my soul. I lost every part of who I was. It was like the time I was in the narcissistic relationship for 8 years. How I felt after that 8-year toxic relationship, I felt after a year and a half being around low vibrational energy. And I went the worst that I've ever gone. So this last year, I have been over conscious about my healing. Like, so adamant that I am getting better, and so adamant that I will never go back to that. So I'm listening to every thought I have now. I'm listening to every trigger I have now. I'm listening to every time that ego mind comes in and tells me not to do something. Because I know when it's something that makes you excited, when it's something that you know is healthy for you, and then your voice comes in and says, no, not today. No, I'm not going to listen to that. And I don't listen to it anymore. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to do. Every time we try and do something new, to change ourselves for the better, our ego will come in and say, no, not today, let's not do this. Stop fucking listening to that shit. Like, listen to what is real. Meditation and nature are the purest forms of medicine to heal your mind, your body, and your soul. If you have anxiety and depression, spend an hour in nature, spend 10 minutes out in nature, and you're going to feel so much better. And if you can't, as I said, go out in nature during the winter, bring nature in. Buy some plants, buy some flowers for yourself every week. Just bring that nature inside. Watch some documentaries. This kind of thing. This is such, like, one of my favorite quotes is, into the woods I go to lose my mind and find my soul. And that's what I said already. Like, when I'm in nature, my mind stops. It's the only time it stops. And it's like, and I don't have anxiety anymore or anything like that. But obviously our minds are constantly going and we're always thinking about the next thing or whatever. But when I'm in nature, it's just like, the thoughts just disappear for a while. It's gone. And it's just so zen. It's peaceful. And then listen to those birds, and even listening to the wind, listening to the rain even. I used to hate rain. I used to be actually afraid of the wind. I used to be afraid of storms. And the more I healed, the more I'm no longer afraid of things I used to be afraid of. And now I listen to wind and rain and I'm like, oh my God, I love it. It's so therapeutic. And then I could go out and you could just watch, even watching the wind blow in the trees, I find so, I don't know, it's just peaceful. It's magical. Listening to those birds, and I feed the birds, and the little birds will come down and they'll feed while I'm there. The big birds, they don't. They'll only come down when I'm gone. But so just watching those birds eating and just listening to the birds and stuff. Like, we need to do this. Living in these high high-rise cities, these pollution-filled cities, are surrounded by people and negative energy all day, every day. You need to find that peace. I was reading there this morning, in this place, in this estate or something, they planted a heap of trees, and it actually uplifted the community's mood, as if they were after all getting a pay rise. So it was what it meant was having those trees there was the equivalent of having extra money in your life. That's how uplifted the community felt, just by having some nature around. And that's it, like, you know, just a little bit of nature, doing a bit of gardening. I used to hate gardening. I used to hate it. But now I actually love it. It's so therapeutic. I love getting my hands, you know, into the soil. It's just, there's something about being connected to this earth. And that's it. The plants are alive. They can speak to you. Hugging a tree is real. Hug that tree. You can feel that energy. It replenishes your mind, your body, and your soul. It relieves your anxiety and stress. So get out there. Get out in nature. This is free medicine. Nature and meditation is free medicine. But like, even, you don't have to meditate. All you have to do is sit in nature. And don't be sitting in nature with earphones in, listening to music and staring at your phone. That's not what I mean. That's not the same thing. Like, yeah, okay, if you want, at least you're sitting in nature, but listen to the sounds around you. Listen to it, because it's just, that is meditation. Sitting in nature and just listening to those birds, that is meditation. That is what replenishes your soul. Excuse me. So get out there more. Just get out into that. Like, and now I was saying that I avoided going to the forest. I will go to the forest every week now, providing it's not horrendously raining. Even if it's windy or frosty, I will go to that forest. I've been going all winter now, because I avoided going. I was still kind of in the early stages of healing last summer, and I had to get stuff worked onto the car, so I was using that as an excuse. My ego mind was still fucking stopping me from going to the woods last year. And like, ever since I've healed better, like throughout the winter months, I actually went more to the forest than I did, you know, at the early start of last year, because I was still only healing. So like, now I make a point every week, I will go to that forest. I don't care. Once it's not raining, I will go to that forest. And I cannot wait for the summer now, because I want to get back to see those trees and, you know, the big arboretum trees. I want to go back. Like, I'm only 20 minutes away from that arboretum and the wildlife park. I'm going to go there as much as I can. I'm going to get out in nature as much as I can again, because having that relapse made me realize this is what I need for my soul. And having those plants in my house now, it just makes me so feel alive again. And as I said, every time I open that door now for the dogs, you know, I will go and walk around the yard with them instead of locking myself up again, like I did when I had that fear around me. Like, you have to just listen to that. We all have a soul. Like, and don't say you don't like nature. Like, as I said, I've seen people afraid, they're out in nature and they're afraid to touch anything. Oh, there's germs. There's more germs on your toothbrush and your fucking phone that you touch every day than there is out in nature. Like, there's good bacteria in nature. It boosts your immune system. You know, like, I grew up on a farm, like, you know, shoveling shit from 5 years of age. Like, do you know, like, I built an immunity because I grew up in nature. And if you grow up in the city, you're more prone to having allergies and to getting sick easier. And I've noticed this, like, do you know, like, you don't see a farmer going around complaining about hay fever. That'd be a bit awkward, wouldn't it? Do you know, and you're out in the field every day. You know what I mean? You don't see this. You don't see that kind of illness around nature, because nature replenishes your soul and your mind and your body. It is the best antidepressant that you will ever have. Do you know that? And animals are the best antidepressant you'll ever have. Like, when I have my worst days, you know, and we all have bad days, but like, some of the worst days I have, and like, you know, I'd be ratty with the dogs, and, you know, I'd be under the blanket with the dogs, and like, they'd be all hyper and stuff. And I noticed this with my little one. she actually kind of comes into my face an awful lot when I'm triggered. And I'm like, sometimes I give out to her, and then I realize, no, you're doing this because you're healing me. And I remember then, like, just by putting my hands on her and being close to her alleviates my stress straight away. So being around nature, being around dogs, just that replenishes your soul. Meditation as well. But they're one and the same. You know, being with your dog and, you know, just petting your dog, you know, and consciously being with your dog, consciously being in nature. This is a form of meditation. This is what cures us. Nature is the cure. Meditation is the cure. And we're so busy with this hectic lifestyle, staring at screens all the time. We're losing this connection to our true selves. We need to disconnect from that. You know, listen to the truth and don't listen to that ego voice that tells you not to do something that is going to actually benefit you. Your ego mind is the one that encourages you to have that bit of chocolate, I think, because the way I see it is the ego keeps you stuck in your old ways. And to be honest with you, it keeps you unhealthy, because every time I want to do something that makes me excited and I listen to the ego and then I don't do it, I'm still depressed. But if I don't listen to my ego and do this thing, I get happy. This stuff cures you. Breathwork, yoga, meditation, you know, being connected to divine, being connected to nature. This is what we need. So stop letting that ego mind win. Get out there. Touch a fucking tree. If you touch a leaf, stand in the grass. This is so good for grounding. To get back into, standing in the grass barefoot is one of the most, I don't know what, it's just such a freeing experience. We're disconnecting from earth because we're wearing these rubber soled shoes. We need to be barefoot more often. I can't wait for the summer to come in because I love being barefoot. I just love wearing less clothes. I'd say I was a nudist in a past life because I just love having, you know, I love having that freedom. It's a sense of freedom when you get to be connected to your own nature, because our bodies are beautiful, like, you know, and getting to wear no socks is like one of my favorite things, and just standing on that grass outside is just beautiful. Putting your feet in a river or jumping into the river or the sea is just water. Yeah, being near water is so good for you. Like being near a river or being near the sea is just, that's one of the, like, that's, you know, I love being in the forest and that really replenishes me. But when I'm near water, it's a whole different story. It's just a million times stronger. So if you can get out in nature, if you can get out near, see the rivers, stand in that grass barefoot, just connect to Mother Gaia, connect to this earth, because we are nature. We are souls. We're all the same. Those plants are alive. Those plants are energy. They're giving back to us. And, you know, it's beautiful. And care for these plants as well. That's another thing about plants. It's lovely to be able to give back to a plant, to feed a plant, to nurture a plant. This is beautiful. This is the same with nurturing our soul, by feeding ourselves with plants as well, eating more fruit and vegetables, drinking that herbal tea, going for plant medicine rather than going for pharmaceutical medicine. This is so much better. There's no side effects. There's no side effects to this medicine. There is none. You know, and we're so mad to go to, we think that the only cure is pharmaceutical. No. Listen, like, there's side effects to every medication. There's some people out there taking 20 tablets a day because each one has decided to fix the side effect of the other one. Come on, like, there's no side effects to any medicine that we can get holistically. Do you know, and our mind is the biggest medicine as well. So that's the power of meditation and nature. Replenish our mind with nature, replenish our mind with meditation, and we have the cure to all dis-ease right at our fingertips for free. We are nature. We are powerful. And that's it. Nature is powerful. Just trust that and stop listening to that ego mind. Get out and do nature. Get out and do meditation. Do these things that will heal you. Stop being so conditioned. Start listening to your soul, and you will hear your soul more. You will hear your intuition more when you're outside in nature, listening to that peaceful energy. Just do it. And the summer's coming up now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and just do it. Get out there more. And if you can't get out there, as I said, watch some nature programs. Bring some plants into your house. Be nature. Because we are nature. We are all connected to this earth. So let's reconnect to her fully and stop being so consumed by social media and locking ourselves in away from this beauty. So anyway, thank you so much for listening today, and I hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel. And if you would like help in your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path. Thanks. Bye-bye.